One of the largest teacher unions, the American Federation of Teachers, says more than 90% of its members have already been vaccinated. And joining us now for more on that and the back-to-school push here is the president of that union, the AFT, Randi Weingarten, joins us now here alongside Yahoo Finance's education expert and reporter, Reggie Wade. Randy, good to be chatting with you again. Thanks for coming back on. I know you've been busy with the tour across the country with this push, the big campaign to get everyone back in school. Talk to me about what you're seeing in terms of preparedness and comfort levels out there, not just amongst parents, but teachers as well.
So thank you for asking that question. And look, as we were saying in the break, July 1st, we were preparing for a very different school year than we're preparing for now because of the Delta variant. We are preparing to be fully in school all across the country. I want to assure parents of that. This is where teachers are. They're rolling up their sleeves. They're calling parents. They're preparing 90, as you said, I would say over 90% now. Our polling showed that there was 89% of teachers who are either vaccinated or getting their vaccines by the end of March, early April. And because teachers know that in school is really, really, really important for kids, but we have to make it safe. And as a result, because of the virus surge, the variant surge, we got to take these, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for my mask. We got to, put these masks back on in inside schools because our kids who are particularly 12 and under don't have access to the vaccines. But the real question becomes, once we have kids in, how do we make sure that we are meeting with their social and emotional needs, and how do we accelerate instruction? And we've gotten a lot of money from the feds, from the American Rescue Plan, Biden's plan, to do a lot of this, and so there's a lot of planning for that as well. So safety and health concerns up front, obviously, masks, physical distancing, ventilation, get your vaccine, very important in terms of safety and health, but the emotional and social well-being is really important, as is the focus on instruction and academics.
Randi, Reggie Wade here. We've been hearing a lot about vaccine mandates for teachers, and are you open to that? And what would you say to folks who say that violates some teachers' personal freedoms?
Look, I don't see this as an issue of, I know there are a lot of people who see this as an issue of personal freedoms and not. What we see it as an issue of what is the most efficacious way to create trust and agency in the entire school community. And that's, and teachers have been out there. I'm 1,000% in favor of vaccines. When I was a kid, we took a lot of vaccines before we could go to school. And it is a part of what you do, particularly when you have transmissible diseases, how you keep yourself, your family, and everybody else safe. So the issue has been, what is the most effective way to help keep everybody safe? And so now that the Delta variant is raging so much, there are some districts, there are some other employers that are saying, is it time for us to do something for 100%, not 90%. And we are working with those districts. So in New York City, we have said yes to de Blasio's push for vaccines or testing. The same is true on the federal level when Joe Biden has said that. And so we're looking and readjusting and seeing if, what next steps we need to do for this, for making sure that everybody is safe. I have been reluctant. I've been reluctant personally because I know the firestorms that we have had on issues like CRT, on teaching honest history, on masking, which is, on universal masking. And so so that's why we have tried to get things done volitionally. But with the surging Delta virus, we are looking at and reconsidering everything.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's the key differentiator for you, Randi. I mean, it feels like you've kind of evolved on this issue of vaccine mandates. I mean, is it really about some of these alarming numbers that you're seeing that's led you to believe that vaccine mandates do need to be in place?
It's the numbers. It's not the, I mean, look, I get criticized or lauded every single day on social media, on, just like other public officials, because you got to call balls, and some people have to call balls and strikes based upon what the pandemic looks like, not based upon the politics. And so that's what we're looking at. We have heard over and over again from parents and from teachers and healthcare members that that they are waiting for, the limited numbers who haven't gotten vaccines yet. Many of them are waiting for full authorization from the FDA. They say that's what we normally have. So we need to do a better job in pushing back on the disinformation. But for us, the way we look at this is that this is a matter of how do we deal with a community virus that harms people. And that's why the issue about universal masking and kind of looking at the data now and seeing with alarm in terms of the Delta virus, that is what is leading to, us looking at this again and seeing if more kind of mandamus or requirements as opposed to doing it voluntary is in order.
Randy, you've been around the country visiting schools, and has it been tough for teachers to really focus on lesson plans and the pedagogy of teaching our children with all of this going around, with all the trepidation?
Yes. I mean, look, I represent teachers and nurses. You're seeing a huge number of people who are just at their wits' ends. I mean, think about this conversation right now. There's a focus on teacher vaccine mandates when 90% of the teachers have gotten vaccines. And instead of kind of lifting them up in terms of what they've done, the same in terms of nurses, they are spent and they are burnt out. And they now have yet another surge of the virus to contend with. So people want to be back in schools. Talking to teachers is a real joy, like in Albuquerque yesterday. It was a real joy talking to teachers about being in school and seeing their kids. That's why teachers become teachers. But, the stress and strain is out there. There was a RAND report a few weeks that came out in June that showed that 78% of teachers had real stress from this year. That's double what the rest of the adult workforce. So teachers want to be with their kids. They want to do the right thing. They want to teach. We got to give them the tools and the conditions and a little bit of love for this.
Randy, the American Academy of Pediatrics had some pretty alarming numbers out in terms of COVID cases in children, an 84% jump over the last week, making up about 20% of new infections over that period. At what point do you think vaccines or vaccine mandates should be considered for children over the age of 12 when you consider there are plenty of vaccines that are mandated already for schools?
So this is, I'm always reluctant to wade into this because the moment I say anything, we're going to have that, that polarization. But I think that we have to be looking at how we make sure that every single student over 12 is vaccinated. I know a lot of this is going to be parental decisions. It's only 30% right now, which means that we've got to do a better job at helping all of our kids over 12 get vaccinated. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So our union is putting together, we do a lot of vaccine clinics. I'm doing one in St. Louis on Saturday. We know that schools are trusted emissaries, but we also know pediatricians are trusted emissaries. As quickly and carefully and effectively as the FDA will get vaccines on the boards for kids who are 2 and older, and as quickly as there is full authorization is, I think, when we can turn the corner on this. And because I am alarmed by this new data.
Yeah, I mean, the polarization around vaccines is interesting, given, the history of required vaccines in schools. But when you talk to the teachers, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it is, I'm sorry, you were asking the question. It's baffling to me.
The main thing is here. I mean, when we talk about teacher burnout, and you already referenced it, I had a friend who's a teacher who just quit last week because of all of that too. When you look at the shortages now, though, as you kind of travel the country, how serious is the teacher shortage to actually get back into school and teach the same class sizes?
There's a big teacher shortage now. There's people are, we're going to know more and more in the next few days. There's been, this new jobs report. There's been more hiring back of educators and support personnel in 1 month than we've seen, I think, in decades. But we're hearing about, the shortages that we normally have. Special shortages for special ed teachers, shortages in bilingual, shortages in science and math. Those are getting more exacerbated. Shortages of school nurses, shortages of guidance counselors, they're getting more exacerbated. I'm hopeful that the feds, that Secretary Cardona will start actually collecting data again so that we can have actionable data. Betsy DeVos decided that, none of the data that would actually really help us, see what was really going on, it was not her thing, So we hopefully will be collecting that kind of data, but anecdotally, you're hearing about shortages all over. But teachers are really spent. They have worked hard. It is not easy to teach on, remotely. What was really just impossible last year for both kids and teachers is hybrid, where half the kids are in your class. I mean, Reggie and I saw this when we went to White Plains with Secretary Cardona, that, half the kids are on a screen, 5 kids are in your classroom. And so if you're a teacher, it is not humanly possible to look at the screen and look at your classroom at the same time and help. Those are 2 different modalities. So teachers are really stressed, but they want to teach. They love their kids. That's why they do this, and they want kids to thrive.
Now, there are a lot of different issues here to tackle, and I know you're busy and kind of trying to make everybody happy here, but it's I appreciate you coming on here to chat with us. AFT President Randi Weingarten, alongside Yahoo Finance's Reggie Wade as well.
Is opening schools.
And we're getting there. Appreciate you coming on here. Thanks again.